Hello everybody, the purpose of this video is to help you with your second pass worksheet for Unit 16 Assignment 4. It's a bit strange because I'm going to be using some paper documents that I'm actually providing you digital copies of, but because I need to be showing you some stuff on the whiteboard, I've got hard copies of them, so bear with me. This is the worksheet that you have a digital version of. What I'm going to do is, there's quite a lot on this, it's a long worksheet, it's for the pass, but it's to cover functional group interconversions, or the reactions that functional groups will undergo to interconvert into another functional group. There's a lot of functional groups, that's why it's so long. So the other document that I'll be using, that you have a digital copy of, is this one. And this is what we have used in class. So that's a really good infographic produced by a company called Compound Interest. I really recommend their infographics. They do a lot of science and chemistry and physics kind of infographics. So we're going to be using that. As a recap, this is a bit like a tube map, like the London Underground tube map for functional groups. So for example, if I have an alcohol here and I would like to have an aldehyde, there is a reaction route that will take me there. Again, to recap, the colours of the arrows, which you can't see very well in the video, but you will in the digital copy of this, the colours of the arrows tell you what kind of reaction you would need, and the very small text above the arrows is telling you reaction conditions. Okay, so this worksheet, the one that I've just shown you here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through the worksheet. I'll cut this into shorter videos because it'd be a lot all at once. I'm going to work through this worksheet. What you are asked to do is that you will be asked for a type of organic molecule at the beginning. You need to pick one. I'm going to always choose pent. I'm going to always choose the version with 5 carbons in it. Don't choose that one. Don't just copy what I've done. Choose some kind of molecule that has 3 or more carbons in a row. You'll get a feel for what I'm talking about as I work through this. Okay, so let's do the first one on this worksheet just to have a look at what we're dealing with. The compound that you're asked to start with is a primary alcohol, and I've said that I'm going to go with pent, things that have 5 carbons in them. Okay, so that is pentane, and if it's a primary alcohol, it has an alcohol group on one of the end carbons. It doesn't matter what end. Doesn't matter what end the alcohol group is on. If it's on an end one, it's a primary alcohol. This is pentan 1-ol, meaning that the alcohol group is on the first carbon. I could have also drawn it the other way around. It would still be pentan 1-ol. So this is the one I'm going to go with. On the worksheet, we're starting with pentan 1-ol, and we're asked what happens if it undergoes an oxidation reaction. Okay, so this is where we're going to be using our synthesis map. So we have an alcohol group here, and oxidation reactions are orange. There's a few different ones here. We're going to use this one here. This route, if you look above the arrow, this route is only for secondary alcohols, this is for primary, and this is for primary, but we're going to look at this one. So the group we're going to interconvert from is an alcohol into a carboxylic acid. So, so what we've looked at is that functional groups are, in this case, this is our functional group, it's an alcohol group. All the chemistry happens here. Nothing much happens here. So if we've got a functional group interconversion, I've realised I just need to draw this the other way around or it's going to get a bit crowded. This is still pentan 1-ol, by the way. It's just drawn the other way around. All the chemistry is going to happen here. So if we've said we have an alcohol, and if we're looking at an oxidation reaction, it's going to become a carboxylic acid, exactly where this functional group is where the new one will form. So with a carboxylic acid, we're going to end up, oh, I could have kept the H on, couldn't I? We're going to end up with this, and what you should know looking at your functional group chart is that that bit constitutes a carboxylic acid. So that is your first interconversion. The next one on your worksheet is that we're then asked what happens if an esterification reaction is undergone. So back to this, an esterification reaction, once you have a carboxylic acid, which is here, esterification is this dark blue arrow down to here to an ester. Obviously the clue's in the name. Esterification means we're going to get an ester. So for the next bit of your worksheet, what you will need to specify is what reagent you're going to use, because one of the reagents that you use for an esterification, if you look above the arrow in that graphic, it says ROH, which just means R is some carbon with an alcohol group on it. So this plus some kind of alcohol is going to create an ester, but it matters what alcohol. So for example, I'm going to specify that in this reaction I'm going to use ethanol, which is 2 carbons in a chain with their hydrogens. I'm using the full displayed formula now. So if this is going to undergo an esterification reaction, what's going to happen during this reaction is this hydrogen up here is going to come off, and whatever carbon we've got in our reacting alcohol is going to get stuck onto that oxygen. So if I used ethanol, I'm going to get a 2 carbon chain attaching to this like that. If I used propanol, which is carbon, carbon, carbon with the alcohol attached, I would get another carbon over here. So on your worksheet where it says reagents, you will specify which alcohol you're using, and that in turn will affect quite what ester product you get. Yeah. All right, so that's the esterification bit. And then for your naming, because on the worksheet you're asked to name, on the functional group chart that we've used in lessons and that you also have a digital copy of, there's some useful naming information underneath each circle showing the functional group, or in class we've used Biovia Draw, which has a really handy generate text from structure or generate structure from text function. So if you're using Biovia Draw, I would suggest you are at a bit of an advantage here, and I would strongly recommend using it if you can get it on your home laptops. We've looked at, I've provided links and things to how you can download that. So I'm going to stop there for that first one. That's the first run of functional group interconversions before we get to the next one. Thanks for sticking with me. See you in the next video.